Okay. Um, so we have special guests today. We have Eric here to speak about the new increase in demand that's coming in, and then we have also it sounds we have a whole new uh, way that we're going to be charging here. So I think a lot of us have questions on how that's going to work, and we're looking forward to hearing Eric explain it to us. So, um, Eric, are you?
This was an update, right, Papa Bear, from the Livepeer forum. Maybe someone can post the link, but I think
Yeah,
Eric
let me
shared an
find that.
update last week, or maybe last week, about some changes that are coming.
Yeah, let me pop that into the chat if no one beat me to it. Okay, yeah, I will post that link to the forum chat. Okay, there we go. That's in the chat if anyone hasn't seen it, wants to take a look at it. And I've got it pulled up here for myself, and a couple of notes myself. Just uh, after, I guess. Well, Eric, do you want to introduce yourself and give us a little bit of an update and explain what how the forum post is gonna, or what you described in the forum post is gonna work?
Yeah. Thanks, Papa Bear. So for those who don't know me, I'm Eric. I'm one of the co-founders at Livepeer, and in the past year and a half, I've been leading Livepeer Studio, right, and especially working a lot on the demand generation for the Livepeer Studio, like kind of gateway service, and also for the network as a whole. Um, uh, I think a couple weeks ago we kind of shared this news with the orchestrators that there's a pretty significant video streaming platform that we've been kind of talking to for 5 months now. That they're in the process of migrating onto Livepeer Studio from one of the tier one kind of video one of the tier one cloud providers in the world, right? Which is really exciting, right? Like we've been working for a long time to get to this place. We expect this to have a pretty significant impact on the amount of traffic that we will see on the network. Expecting to 3 to 5x our current transcoding minutes. But at the same time, one of the things that we kind of learn through this process, which is not surprising to us, right, is because they have so much demand, they have a lot of pricing power in the negotiation with any infrastructure provider, right? So they kind of shared with us what their pricing was with the old provider and what the pricing they need in order to migrate over to Livepeer Studio, right? And so basically what we learned is that we need to achieve a cost of around 50 cents per 1,000 minutes for a full ABR ladder transcoding, or 3 cents per hour of cost in order to kind of break even on this deal, right? Which is just to show kind of how untransparent pricing can be for these for the infrastructure providers in the world. Um, so with that being said, I've kind of shared this update to the community, and just asked whether people will be willing to kind of lower the price for transcoding in order for us to get this deal done. The timing of the deal is around, like they're planning to ramp up traffic in mid-March, and I'll give an update today on kind of how that testing and build process is going. But yeah, so that's kind of the gist of this of this deal. And a quick status update here is that we've been like the studio engineering team has been working a lot with their team on this deal. The deal is going well, both from a technical perspective and from a contract signing and legal and all like just operational perspective. We learned a lot in this process in the last month of being really really hands on building with them. And in the process, we actually built a number of new features. For example, stream polling, which means And this is actually a really interesting migration pattern where we're able to pull an existing stream from any source, and then be able to, instead of people pushing into Livepeer Studio, we can now pull from existing source. We also built out dynamic. We're building out dynamic transcoding, which means people can turn on and off transcoding in the middle of a stream, and this can be helpful, for example, for people to control cost. If if I run a platform and at any given time there's a large percentage of streamers that don't have any viewers, well, I don't want to be transcoding those videos that don't have any viewers and be incurring that extra cost, and this is quite common across any live streaming platform that's kind of user generated content, right? So that's a really important feature for them, and also for and also for Livepeer Studios kind of growth and our ability to get bigger and bigger customers. We also build out new analytics features, integrate better, much better billing support and things like that. We also fixed a number of bugs and improved corner cases in terms of the product behavior, right? So overall, I think that the deal is progressing very well. We're about 1 week behind schedule, and so we should expect to see traffic start to ramp up in the middle towards maybe like third, fourth week of March. Um, and so that touches on kind of what are the changes that we'd like to make. What are the steps that we take in order to get ready for this for this onslaught of traffic, which is going to be over time 3 to 5x of the current traffic, right? One is and I think this is also combined with the other change that is happening on the network, which is switching to a dollar-based unit price instead of using ETH-based unit price, right? So that we can kind of shield ourselves against the ETH price fluctuation. So we're planning to take a multi-step approach. The first step is to switch from an ETH-based unit pricing model to a dollar-based pricing model, right? And the way that this is going to work is that periodically the Livepeer node will be getting the pricing information from Oracle, and underneath the hood adjusting the actual price per pixel in ETH terms to match the current exchange rate between USD and ETH, right? So that feature will be done in the next couple of weeks, and we'll be releasing that in the node. And so we'll be switching just for the same. So we'll be switching to dollar-based unit price, and the price that we'll be setting from the studio side is the current average transcoding price on the network today. So not changing the price, just changing the unit accounting, right? And from there, we'll wait until the traffic starts to ramp. As the traffic starts to ramp from this platform, we'll start to move the price down in a dollar value to 50% towards the target price that we want to get to at the end, right? So the target price is, like I said, right, 50 cents per 1,000 minutes or 3 cents per hour. So that will be kind of what we're moving towards at the end of this ramp, right? So as we move down 50%, we'll be kind of observing how the traffic on ramp up is going, and diagnosing and dealing with any issues that come up. And as that traffic ramp reaches 50% of the total traffic, we will do another price movement that moves to the actual target price, right? As the traffic continues to ramp from 50% to 100%. Right? So that's the current plan. Yeah, curious to hear if people have any questions or feedback on that.
2 quick questions from me. The features you're talking about that are being implemented, pulling from a source, are those studio features, And then the same goes for the pricing changes based on price oracles. Is that a go live here change and a studio change, or is it a combination?
I believe the polling comes from Catalyst. So Catalyst has a new capability now to pull from a from a source.
Okay.
Um, um, the other question is how the pricing works, right? Like the pricing mechanism change. Is that right?
Yeah, is the oracle and the accounting for the price changes in the go live here node, or is that also
I believe
outside?
so. No, I believe it's in the Go Live here node. Victor is working on that, so we can double check with him, but I believe it's
Okay.
in the node. Yeah.
So we'll
It's
be
both in
expecting a
the,
go live here 073 or 74 coming up soon.
that's right. That's right. It's both in the orchestrator and in the broadcaster.
Okay, good.
That's what I was wondering too. Actually, so um, so there's nothing to set for the as an orchestrator. Then that's just once that's implemented, that all happens automatically. We don't make any. There's uh, no changes that we would make or any settings, I guess, that we would put in to make sure that
I
that's
think
Sounds like
there
you're
will.
gonna have to upgrade, right?
Yeah. I think there will be a need to upgrade to the latest node version and change the unit to price unit to the dollar-based price unit.
Oh, okay. So that's just not baked into the new release. It'll be actually still a setting that we put into to kick in that feature.
That's right. That's right. It'll be I believe it'll be a new setting.
And I guess that would be like set per broadcaster. So if I mean, I still realize that most of the work is coming from studio, but um, for other broadcasters, we would still be able to set pricing. Well, I don't know. Does that take over for pricing for all pricing? Whether it would be done in a I guess in this based on the USD PPP, or sorry, the I guess would be we would set it by how actually so how would it be then? It's I'm getting a little confused on how what the setting would actually look like, or has that just not been completely decided yet?
It'll be a number, right? It'll be instead of using ETH based price per pixel, it'll be a USD based price per pixel. It'll just be a different number.
Right, but
Just
Probably
but
have a
that's
mandatory
autumn.
config flag.
But it would be automatically set, right? We don't have to go in and change that as pricing changes, right? That's all handled by the upgrade.
um,
I
I
mean, like right now,
believe
right now, like we'd go in and we change our PPP and that kind of stuff. But I'm getting the impression that this would all be done automatically, checking the Oracle price and
this
all that
will.
stuff.
I believe this will be a new setting. Like let me. I can confirm with the engineering team to verify, but I believe the upgrade process would be download the new node, um, and set a new configuration flag for the dollar based price per pixel that you want to charge, which will be different, right, than the ETH based price per pixel, because because the value amount between dollar and ETH are different, and then from there that's the operational step for the orchestrator, and under the hood the orchestrating software would be loading the exchange rate from the oracles and automatically adjusting the ETH based calculation that it pays out or it receives from the network.
Okay, got it,
Does that make sense?
got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah. Okay, I wasn't doing a good job of explaining it, but you understood what I was asking and you answered it. Thank you. Um,
Hey Eric, I don't know how much you know about the Oracle, but I was curious if it's using an on-chain Oracle because the node already connects to on-chain um, or connects to the blockchain, or are we introducing like an external third-party centralized dependency?
That is a great question. I don't have the answer to that. I need to check, but I remember people were saying that it uses on-chain Oracle, but yeah, I need to double check. I'll take a note on that.
Cool, no problem. I actually don't know off the top of my head if there are any sort of off-chain centralized dependencies on the Go Livepeer node yet, because if not, it'd be nice to preserve that and kind of stick with only on-chain.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was using the Chainlink Oracle. That works pretty good. So I would hope, I mean, I know there are on-chain approaches to doing it.
Yep. Yeah, Chainlink or even like a Uniswap price pool or something like that.
And then I see also in your post that the selection algorithm will be changing to be more heavily stake weighted. And I was
Yes.
just wondering if there was like was there, is that a random determination to change it from like 0.15 to 0.65, or like how did you come up with that number?
Yeah, that's a great question. This actually came from, I think, some feedback from the orchestrator community, where with kind of this increase in traffic and reduction in price, orchestrators seem to want to have more stake weight to kind of make things a little more to make LPT make the staking mechanism matter a little more. So going from 0.15 to 0.65 is just kind of like increasing that by half. Maybe that's a good way to put it, right? We think this increase will continue to kind of feed traffic to the less staked nodes on the network, so the all nodes will still have a consistent amount of traffic because of the traffic increase. But at the same time, it will also make the staking mechanism count more. So for all the work that the larger the orchestrator that had larger stakes with them, they should see an increase in traffic as well.
Okay.
I mean,
But
if you think about it, the pricing is going to be pretty much the same. So there has to be some mechanism in place to find orchestrators, right? That allows some distribution. And the only lever that's there today is the staking mechanism. So, and again, if you're earning more stake, you should be, getting more work and getting, have the infrastructure to support it. So I personally am fine with it. And I think there was a round of feedback given. So we need some mechanism. I think that also means in the future, potentially other things need to be added to the selection algorithm, but we've already talked about that and how that might look with a plugin system and whatnot. But I mean, it sounds good to me.
The other thing I would say is that if an orchestrator with a large stake amount does not have the infrastructure to handle the traffic, I think that that traffic would just go to the next person, right? So if you amass a lot of stake and you can't support that infra, then you would kind of be losing out on the potential gain from the ETH perspective.
But most likely the work would be sent to them and then moved on to another orchestrator, right? Because if that's the case,
Well, if you have caps, right, max limits, if you hit your max that they can support, then it'll just overflow to the rest of the network.
Yeah, it's either caps or if there's a lot of failure that's detected, then it'll, like, I think the broadcaster would block the orchestrators with a lot of failures for a certain amount of time.
that was my concern, is that if it's going to orchestrators that don't have caps set properly, that you'll get failures, and then I just wonder what if that has how negative the effect would be on the network, and if that could cause problems for this new big client who's expecting everything to work every time. So if that's addressed properly, then I don't think it's an issue. But something that was just a question I had actually written down was how that was going to be dealt with. So sounds like you guys have thought about that. Anybody else? Oh, I see there's questions coming into the chat. Yeah. Oh, actually, a lot of conversation going on in the chat. If anyone else has a question,
Yeah,
go
just
ahead while
the
I
debate
catch up
over
here.
there about USD versus ETH PPP setting by
I
default.
see.
It's kind of a implementation detail.
Okay, I see. All right. I'll catch up on that later. There's no questions here though that I wanted to. That someone wasn't able to talk that I could relay on. Anybody have
Well, as
any?
we know, right, anytime the org community is required to do an upgrade, we got to be out in the Discord getting the word out, because some orgs aren't always paying attention. So, we want to make sure that enough orgs are upgraded and enough capacity is there as they start to ramp up.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's another reason why we're multi-step process, right? So to allow a little time for people to catch up.
Cool.
And then I think when you were here a couple weeks ago, you mentioned that this was going to roll out starting in the EU, or at least mostly in the EU, to begin. Or do I remember that correctly?
Yeah, I think that was the original plan. I think that's still the current plan. So we should see the initial ramp up in the EU. But I can also see this coming down to kind of a game time decision on the platform. If they decided, they wanted to ramp up in other regions, that those other regions will be the initial areas. But we'll definitely be communicative as soon as we find out that information.
Sounds good. Yeah, because I've ramped up my my infrastructure in the EU just to start, and then on the West Coast I have a lot, but that just seems to get the least amount of traffic. But I got more than enough capacity on the West Coast, and then I've got enough on the East Coast, but I just didn't know if I needed to ramp up there too, and really get ready for that. So just trying to figure out the best way to ramp up. But I think at least for myself personally, I've got double the capacity that I had a couple weeks ago. So it's a start.
All orgs had contracted at one point because we had way too much supply on the network. So I think everybody in their own way kind of pulled back. And I think now we're seeing, if we can see this increase, folks will start loosening the belt a little more.
Yeah, that's great to see.
What's the best publicly viewable source of current average price per pixel paid on the network? Is it that there was a dashboard I think Marco had built?
Yeah, Marco has one posted up there. Strong.rock. I can get the link for you.
It might be helpful to resurface that around the community a bit in conjunction with these price updates, so everyone can see what the sort of average price per pixel being paid is, how that changes.
I think some orgs already are reducing their prices to, I think there was a 50 to 70 target that was specified. And I think a bunch of orgs already just went to that price. So I think it's slowly coming down as we get closer.
Yeah, I see Marco posted that in the chat there. Let's see. Do I have any other questions written down here? All my questions have been answered. Does anyone else have any other questions or concerns? Nope, everyone's good. Well, I appreciate you coming, Eric. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we let you go, or you want to take off?
No, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thanks for having me, and yeah, I'll be kind of sharing more updates along the way. Yeah.
No,
Thanks.
thanks for coming. We appreciate the clarity, and yeah, we will. We know how to get in touch with you if we have new stuff comes up, and I look forward to hearing when this is actually starts to happen and see it happening. So exciting stuff.
Sounds good. All right. Talk to you
All
guys
right.
later. Bye.
Thanks, Eric. All right. Well, I guess we can go around and does any, you know what? I don't know if we really need to do introductions. I think everyone here is all the regulars, but do we want to go around and maybe just, does anyone have questions about, topics or anything that they'd like to discuss? I could start with myself. I had a question about CUDA 12 that I saw going around. I currently am running all in Docker, so I haven't had to deal with setting environment variables. But is there anyone, if anyone is running CUDA 12, I'd be interested in hearing if there's different environment variables they set up and have CUDA 12 working with binaries, both for potentially one of my servers, and then also we have some cool stuff going on with where it's getting tough to run the latest version of Go Livepeer that on Linux, having support for CUDA, and for pools it's hard to, if possible, not have to have people put like an old version of CUDA onto their machine. So that would be my main topic for the day, and we'll come around to that, and I'll go to the next person. Or Runis, do you have any questions or? Oh, oh. That just completely restarted for me. Was that something on my end, or was everyone here and I just dropped out?
I think everybody got kicked.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure what happened there. I've
I
never
got
seen.
kicked and I was in the audience.
Okay, that was a new one for me. I haven't seen that happen.
What kind of magic button did you push?
I didn't touch a thing. I just saw like it said you want to start the event. I was like, I think I was in the event and I was and talking at the same time. So yeah, I don't know what happened there. Let me just
Yeah,
quickly
Discord's gaslighting everybody.
let me just send everyone a quick invite for people that don't know they could jump up themselves. And actually, just if anyone doesn't know that, I think everyone has the ability to jump on stage themselves without being invited. But I'll go ahead and quickly send out these invites.
While
Right,
people are
looks like,
coming
yeah.
back on
Okay.
your question about
Yeah.
CUDA 12, with the binaries, you have to use whatever it was built against.
So with the binaries,
You can
okay.
build it. I mean, I've compiled Go Livepeer against CUDA 12, but it has to be compiled against it.
Okay.
So
That's gonna make.
it'll be interesting if they update that.
Yeah, that's gonna make it real fun for getting people to be able to update their pool software, because we're usually talking the not very advanced users for that kind of stuff. They just want to run something and let it go. Well, we'll have to we'll have to write up a guide for that. All right. Fair enough. Let's see. I guess Mike, you have any topics for today or any questions? Oh, he's gone. Okay, Frank, how you doing? You got any topics for today? Concerns?
Hi, yeah, sure. I have one topic. Maybe I'm a little worried because we have recently seen some streams switch from one orchestrator to another, which scratches the GPU and therefore all the running job. I'm afraid of the impact that could have on the quality that could be required by the new client.
So, wait, so say that again. You're having streams that are jumping from.
Yeah, we have seen this last weeks some stream jumping from one orchestrator to another, and that stream are crashing our nodes. So we lose all our job. So maybe that
Oh,
could have an impact on the quality for the new client if sometimes you lose 40 jobs in one time or something like that. So maybe we have to find a solution to have a filter about that kind of stream that crash our node.
okay, yeah. So you're talking about like if it's a bad stream that starts to go around from orchestrator to orchestrator, and then it's causing orchestrators to crash because there's something wrong with the stream, so that maybe some better error handling by Livepeer. Is that like um, am I understand? I just want to make sure I'm understanding which issue you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm talking about. I see some other orchestrator who have the same problem. That maybe one time by week or less, I don't know, but sometimes you have a stream coming to your node, and this stream crash our GPU. In fact, so you lose all your stream. So that could have an impact for the quality required for client.
Yeah, no, that's actually uh, a good point, and something we should be concerned about. Um, how out of the orchestrators here, how many of you guys were seeing or noticing that?
I've seen some bad streams take out my nodes. I mean, at my dashboard, when a node restarts, if there's ticket winnings on it, it just goes to zero. And I've seen that on occasion. I have yet to trap the exact error, but it's definitely something along the lines that Marco posted with like the CUDA error.
Yeah, no, I've seen it too. I and I notice it the same way you do too. I don't catch it when it happens. I mean, the node restarts, but it does seem to take the node down, uh, and uh, I notice it because my some of the stats reset. Um, but yeah, so I'm just wondering, like, what can we do then to mitigate that? Is it, I mean, would it be the matter, like just a matter of getting better air handling for catching a stream that is bouncing too much or something, and maybe just pulling it out of rotation? Looking at
Well,
people.
panic, a server panic or an application panic is basically going to crash the node. So if there's code that's being referenced that isn't expected, like this seems like memory related, but who knows with Go. But I think it's at a minimum it's going to be better error handling. Like there has to be some way of capturing the places where these errors are occurring and making sure that the proper shutdowns are in place to restart the node. I mean, I can't even begin to imagine that's going to be a lot of work in itself.
And it does tend to come in waves. I've noticed too, which is what makes me believe it's like a bad stream. And again, when I say bad stream, I'm guessing just like maybe the profile is set in a way that just isn't compatible with uh, Livepeer's current capabilities. But again, I'm just guessing at what the cause could be for something like this.
Well, if there was a reproducible way of sending a stream across the network that can crash all the nodes, that's like a denial of service vector for the entire network. And I think that's kind of what Frank's alluding to is that, if something like that can be deployed and it takes down nodes, it's going to have a significant impact on quality. And as we scale up, we can't afford to lose a node that has, 40, 50, 60, 100, 200 sessions running. They all get dropped at once. That has to be redistributed. That's a lot of overhead on the network, especially if that's happening multiple times.
Well, I guess like
Yeah,
I guess we got to monitor.
yeah, I mean, I mean,
Go
I
I was gonna
ahead.
say
guess
it seems like a no-brainer that if possible, better error handling so the nodes don't crash under this scenario.
We found it at the very end.
It's like an obvious no-brainer. But it's actually interesting in like a sort of distributed systems context. So let's say the broadcast node isn't receiving, proper transcode responses back on these bad streams, what's it going to do? It's going to fail over to the next node and the next node and the next node. And you almost have to address it at the broadcast node level as well, so that it's aware that it has a bad stream and it should not be pinging every node in the network in circulation to take them all down. But drawing the line between that and I don't know, a censorship attack or something from an orchestrator is a little tricky. Like a broadcast node shouldn't just trust 1.0 to say it's a bad stream. It should try a few, but at the same time, it shouldn't try and take down the whole network.
Yeah, and I think that's actually similar to what was happening with who was the broadcaster?
Xenon.
Yeah, Xenon was having issues with something similar where they would send out a bad stream, and then it would just continue to go around and around, and there was it was like very difficult for them to stop that. But yeah, I think you're probably right, Doug. That the broadcaster should be able to recognize that, like, the stream isn't coming back, and maybe after a few attempts that it pulls it out of rotation. And easy for me to say since I'm not the one that would implement that, but
typically, though, those exception tolerances can be configurable. So like HTTP timeouts, those should be configurable. The same goes with retries when something fails. There's a certain number of retries you're going to want to do before you start to back it off. Otherwise it's just going to go round and round. So definitely something that might require, a call to action from the community if we see. We'll find out in short order as they start to ramp up, but if there's anything proactively we can do, I'm not sure right now.
Yeah, maybe just a simple retry limit as a first step.
Yep.
And Frank, did you ever put this? Did you put a GitHub
issue?
Yeah, I guess GitHub issue over this. Because
No,
if you did,
not on GitHub, only on Discord.
On Discord, does someone want to make a GitHub issue and link to it so we can all just kind of get in there and comment on it and raise attention that this is something that we think needs some attention? If not, I can do it after the call. But,
Yeah, if someone could catch the kind of stream, that will be great, because I didn't succeed in that.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been having a hard time trying to catch it too. That's why I know it's happening, and every time I go to get it, it happens at night. I'm sleeping. By the time I get to the logs, I can't find it.
All right. Well, if anyone here does happen to catch one, please make a note of it, and we'll make an issue about that and try to get this addressed. I'm losing track of who I've asked, gone around with, so I'm just going to say, if anyone has a topic or concerns or anything they want to talk about, just jump in and throw them out there, and we'll just hit them as they come in.
I guess we can quickly go over the Ethereum hard fork that's dropping on March 13th.
I didn't even know that was happening.
It's called Transcoding. So I can just shortly explain. I think they're introducing a new data type, especially for layer 2s. They call it blob. Essentially what it does, it's like temporary storage for L2s. I think the nodes keep it for like a month or so, then they drop it again. And that makes it like really cheap for layer 2s to post like their data to the mainnet. So essentially it will be a huge cost reduction for all L2s. There are like no clear estimates yet, but it could be like a 10x to even like a 40x cost reduction. And yeah, for all the node runners, I mean, just make sure that you updated your execution client, the consensus client, and also for the Arbitrum node needs to be updated.
Oh, wow.
Cool. Thank you for reminding me of that. I am glad you mentioned that. I wonder if anyone's done any testing on the Livepeer. I guess it shouldn't really affect smart contracts per se.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
I was trying to ask a question earlier, and for some reason my mic wasn't working. It's weird. I appreciate you bringing me back on. I had a question about when you guys were talking about the video streams disrupting the nodes. Where are the what's the source of the streams, and like what type of content is it? Like where does the majority of the content that you guys transcode come from?
So you're asking about this new increase in demand that we're expecting?
No, he's talking about the stream error that's causing the node to crash. Again, the content's coming, it's a public network, so it's permissionless. So there's anybody can send anything over the network, right? But the lion's share of the work today on the network comes from Livepeer Studio, which is Livepeer Incorporated. So that's when they were talking about, you know, their customers and their clients, you know, their customers or clients are probably somebody sending in something that's not, you know, that doesn't have the proper support, or maybe there's just a defect in the Go Livepeer software. Under certain conditions, it causes this failure. But I think it may not be the stream at all. It just may be, you know, under rare conditions, a certain stream with a certain profile comes in and causes the server to fail, and it may just be a node defect in the software. I think it's the point though is, you know, whenever transcoding fails on a node, there should be proper error handling and alerting to indicate some failure occurred, but not take down the entire node itself. So it may be a stream, and we're not sure yet. And I think that's where creating the GitHub issue is going to give us that the platform that we can all share our details and, you know, kind of coordinate what might be the right next steps. And I think Doug alluded to, at a minimum, we got to make sure the node doesn't crash and kill all the work, because that's not good. And I think that's at least the first place.
Yeah, copy that. Yeah, I'm really intrigued and, you know, very interested in learning the orchestrator side of it right now. You know, got a stiff learning curve for the studio side, and really integrating what I already know about video into what you guys have going on. So the one aspect that you know, I don't fully grasp on the studio side is how it's separate from, you know, what you guys are talking about, and, you know, how, like, what that means from my perspective, and who are these other potential entities that might be sending in bad streams, and what constitutes as a bad stream, you know, like.
Yeah, I don't think there's a quote specific thing that says bad stream, right? Like there's going to be some, you know, something that the network that doesn't support. And again, it could just be, you know, I mean, I can't even begin to guess on what it might be, but it may not be a stream at all. Like I was saying, it could be just the node software in itself. When it receives work from the broadcaster, Livepeer Studio, it just has some failures. So I think we could probably get into Discord, and I can help with you trying to understand some of these topics, because it's a mouthful. There's a lot here, and I think it's going to be far too much to cover in one water cooler chat.
Yeah, like a block diagram, preferably.
Yeah. That's fine. We have all of that stuff. I can share some stuff with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, if you could help them out with that, Mike, in you know, in Discord or something like that, that would be great. Just to kind of keep this focused here. I just wanted to quickly just jump back for a second. I don't know, Varys, was there I don't know if we finished your topic or if we was there more to the hard fork, or was it did you just want to make sure that people who are running nodes are aware of it and get updated? And
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and also that like something to look forward for, like in the cost reduction. I mean, it's going to be quite significant, especially like swaps and everything will just cost cents now instead of like 10 cents or 20 cents, and so we're really like getting there to real world use case and real scalability. I think that's something really great.
Is that
yeah,
L2 only on the fees reduction, or does that mean L1 reductions too?
No, there's like no scaling planned for L1. I mean,
I
that's the
see.
whole master plan of Ethereum is like just focus on L2s, which to me makes total sense because you kind of there's just no way that you can handle all the traffic on the mainnet. So having the L2 approach makes sense, and also with this new data type that they added with that they're gonna add with the upgrade. I mean, it's just like a storage for limited amount of time, which is enough time to like challenge any malicious L2 that tries to steal your funds. But it's, I mean, the data doesn't need to be there forever, so it just makes total sense for me.
Yeah, no, it's great. I just didn't know where the savings were going to be at what level. So level 2, definitely. I mean, they're pretty cheap now. 20 cents for a transaction. So you're saying it's going to be pennies for a transaction? That's just wild.
well, think
Yeah, I think
about it as
if the main ticket redemption costs come down significantly, then that means that the overhead that orchestrators are paying to cash in winning tickets comes down, which means the face values can be lower, which means the broadcast deposits reserves could be lower, which means we could consider raising the number of orchestrator slots on the network as well. Something we always talked about, but this might be an interesting moment to look at it.
It's really good thoughts. Didn't think about that either.
and yeah, I think as crypto grows and we're using it for more and more transactions, 20 cents may not seem like a lot when you're just doing a transaction here and there, but if you start to use it for, daily purchases and that type of stuff, dropping that down into, a single digit, a penny or two for a transaction is that adds up real quick. So a lot of exciting stuff with that. And still, when I think back to when some of those L1 transaction fees of several
Dude,
hundred dollars per transaction, it's definitely moving in the right direction.
that's
So yeah,
great.
Mike, I know you're running. I know you're running a zone. I know you're running nodes, Mike. So make sure those are, and I'm using them. So make sure those are updated. All right.
Yes, customers, don't worry, they'll be fine. We're definitely going to upgrade. I mean, I do maintenance often, and I'm always checking the version numbers in Arbitrum, so I'm not worried. But again, it's those kind of upgrades that an upgrade to this might cause a chain effect out to the Arbitrum could go down, or something else could go down as a result of these unanticipated changes. So just keep your eyes on your monitors. That's for sure. March
Well,
13th.
can I share a quick insight from some of the AI work that's going on?
Sure.
Sure.
Cool. This is nothing mind-blowing here. I think those of you who have been watching the code, watching the forum updates know the latest status. Just to summarize, right now there's a working orchestrator node that supports AI inference across a number of supported models. There's a working broadcaster node that can request those models or request those inference types from orchestrators, and I believe fail over across multiple orchestrators right now. So getting closer and closer to this, subnet concept being real. I think, and the on the consumer app side, I know that they're iterating quickly, and I think Quan and CJ shared out a link to request volunteers who are looking to test it and share feedback and whatnot. So look for that in the AI video channel if you want to volunteer to play around with their consumer app, generate videos, share feedback, etc. The insight that we're seeing in just trying to run a few of these nodes internally to support the development of the app is the GPUs have to switch between models when they're doing image generation and then image to video, and especially if there's a couple different models potentially supported. And the GPUs by default will drop a model from VRAM after I think 5 minutes. That's an arbitrary setting, it can be changed. And then what that means is if there hasn't been like a request for that model to be run on a specific orchestrator within 5 minutes, then the orchestrator has to go through like a loading sort of cold start problem where it, they spend 30 to 60 seconds like loading the model before it can be run for inference, even if the SDXO turbo image generation only takes 1 second or something if the model's already loaded. And so I know that this front end app is playing around with the concept of sending like warm up requests once every couple of minutes, or if if a consumer loads the web page to indicate they might use the app, then it might send a warm up request in order to like save cost in the background of running these GPUs. I don't have like an ask or anything, but I think orchestrators should think about their strategy for like leaving a model warm in the VRAM of their GPU, which means it can't really do anything else. It's sort of sitting there waiting for a job on a specific model type. And but if it's warm, it'll actually perform that job quick enough and send a response and get hired for the next job and receive payments. Whereas if it's not warm, the broadcast node will likely fail over and test for another node to perform that job type. And I think it will be a bit of an orchestrator strategy, or at least like an iteration in the software to determine the best strategies of how and when you want to like trade off and keep certain models warm on certain GPUs versus free them in order to perform transcoding or some other task in the interim. So don't have any ask, just wanted to like share that information and plant that idea.
So
yeah, I think cold starts and warm up requests from the client side, the consumer side, that sounds like a really bad idea in my opinion. The capabilities of the orchestrator should be something that could be queryable. So if there's a way to say the model is already loaded and warm, and then just make that as part of a capability as for a selection algorithm, like we talked about, where, hey, you have this model, we got a request for this model, this quality, whatever the settings may be, and those orchestrators that have that capability will respond. But warm-up requests just to kind of prime the pump, that assumes that things will be slow all the time, right?
Mike, are you
Agreed.
saying
Yeah, I
like?
think that. Yeah, go ahead,
Sorry,
Brad.
Doug. Are you kind of implying that if an orchestrator doesn't have it warmed up, they wouldn't reply with that capability?
Yeah,
Huh.
like
Never
he was
thought about it
saying,
that way.
you basically say, here's what I have in my system, and this is what I support. And again, as Doug pointed out, if it's a strategy for the orchestrator, I can download the model in advance. I can set it into a folder that says preload this on startup, right? And it's loaded
Or
and ready to go.
I
And
think
that capability is there.
like a metadata that says it's warm would be interesting way to do
Right.
it
Maybe
too.
it's a quick test to the model. You send it on the startup of the node, you send a test to the model, and it fails, you say you don't have it, right? If it succeeds, it's warm and ready now because it's loaded. Obviously,
Yeah.
I
if
do
if
think
the
the
GPU removes it at some point, that's something we'd have to fix. But go ahead, what's that,
yeah, I
Doug?
do think the like warmness of the model is part of the sort of the orchestrator negotiation protocol. Like you wouldn't, I don't think
Yeah.
you'd
Yeah, right
advertise
before the job goes
loading.
out. Hey, what do you have? What capabilities do you have? And, oh, you don't have them? Next org.
Right.
well, I think also, but part of the issue is that there's so many models that, and can multiple models be loaded if you have enough RAM in your on the GPU, or is it only a model at a time can be loaded?
Yeah, you could load multiple if you have enough RAM.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to ask that question. Then it really, I mean, RAM's already important, but even more of a case
Yeah.
to have cards
And
with a
you
lot
can
of RAM.
swap them around, right? Let's just say,
Yeah.
though,
Well, you
Livepeer
can, but
says, hey, we got these 5 models we're going to be testing with, and you can set up multiple GPUs to have different models or any mix of models, and so that you can get all the capabilities you want on the network. Or maybe you periodically swap them out. Like, say, you found when you were testing that the turbo model gets more requests than the other model. Maybe you stop running those models, and then that might drive Livepeer to not use that model as much. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, there's probably a whole lot of metrics collection we're going to need to do before we can understand what the right models are, let alone custom models.
I
Yeah.
had the thought, and I'm speaking a little out of my recent technical depth here, but I had the thought that maybe the PM tickets should contain some ID about the job type that was being performed and paid for. Like, we don't want to add a lot of data to make it expensive, but if there was a on-chain registry of integer ID mapped to job type or something, and the PM tickets contain that integer ID, then you could actually look at the data of what's being paid for on the network and determine how much each job type is performed and how valuable it is, and that may help people inform what models to keep loaded and how the network's being used. I'm not sure the other way I could think to do it would be just socially, right? Like, users would just indicate in the Discord what models they're running.
Wow,
or
this
data.
dovetails exactly to that streamer network integration again, where all the orchestrators who are participating publish their data to the streamer network, and analytics can be gleaned off of it. I mean, we were talking about doing it for transcoded minutes and some of the other like simple tasks, but like this could be a more useful use case where the GPU capabilities and the actual job types that are being processed on that node, it could be reporting that to a public streamer network. That's all on-chain stuff, right? Integrate that with Streamer. I already have a pending grant that I was trying to work with the Streamer team to do this work for Go Livepeer, but it's there. It's still pending. I just need some bandwidth to get to it. But I think this is a perfect pairing of it. And it makes sense because if you have GPUs that want to do AI work, you're going to want to publish that data to the registry so that the broadcaster can make the best decision, right? If the broadcaster is a subscriber to that network, streamer network topic, then it can just get real-time feeds from each of the broadcasters or each of the orchestrators saying, hey, I got these models loaded, I have this much capacity, etc. Brad, I have a proof of concept if you really want to take that project and finish it.
Oh, voluntold, I see.
While I'm asking, I'm not telling, I'm asking. But if you got some cycles.
I think it's interesting way to look at that. I mean, it's all comes back to like the job types being added somehow into the RPC calls back and forth, right? We want this kind of info also on the transcoding side so we can see what we're getting, so we can better optimize for the tasks that we're getting as well. I don't know if that's like Doug said in the tickets or if it's in the request out.
Certainly
like
in
the
the
request out
RPC
for
call, right? Like the O nodes will definitely have visibility into the type of job that they're being requested. So I think we're just talking architecturally about like where do you observe that, right? Is it
I
being
don't want to
logged?
I'm not trying to
Sent
get
to a
too far.
source.
Another thing with how long it takes to do these AI jobs is the different cards. I mean, there's just it's so much different than with transcoding, where all the cards are in the same
Within
relative speed,
variance, yeah.
and yeah, so and and they're still all performing within real time, where it's not affecting your stream, even if you're with a slower card or something like that. Where I mean, like on the test that I've seen posted up, I mean, like the 4090 that I'm running is like, I mean, for most jobs it's like twice as fast than like a 3090, and even if it's got to load the model, I think it's still probably going to be faster for a lot of jobs than, potentially even if another, special, I'm not like a card that's like, a 2080 or something like that. It has to, it already has it warm. I still think it may be faster. So it may not be, whether it's warm may not be the whole picture too. But
well, that's true.
more
Yeah,
is better,
like
so.
again, having phases of the GPU work jobs and stuff, like, loading the models loaded, executing the model, you know what I mean, and also the actual benchmarks of the time it took. You could pass back, this last job took X amount of milliseconds or X number of seconds, to kind of give a trailing log of your performance as you go. There's so many ways to go about this stuff. I think we really gotta hopefully get into Yondon and start, maybe, because the worst thing would be to implement something that we basically regret, or we get cornered into an architecture that in the short term may be quick and easy, but in the long run might be real problematic to scale. And I think those warm-up requests will be one that falls in that category, just from my opinion.
Yeah, that's part of the reason for this like initial subnet alpha type approach, right? There's so much to learn along the way. And so let's do this on like sort of a forked subnet network as a non-production pass, if you will. And we'll probably learn a lot before, iterating to merge it back into, the one go live peer node that everyone's running for all job types, if that's even the right architecture.
Yeah. Yep.
So
John,
is it
go ahead.
correct to assume that in the mid to long term we'll have separate hardware for transcoding and AI stuff? I mean, that's like, seems to me totally different, like requirements for the cards.
I would think so. In the past, just from like trying to run transcoding on a machine that's running another task, tends to really affect the transcoding performance. I think back to like when I was trying to run on transcoders on a machine that was doing ETH mining, even though they're not using the encode and decode chips. There's clearly other parts of the card, memory and other things that would dramatically slow down the transcoding part of it. So it's definitely going to be optimal to run separate hardware for that. Will you be able to possibly squeeze both job types into one? Maybe, but I haven't had good experience with that in the past. And you're using 100% of of what the card can do, from what I've seen. It's on that 49 it runs 425 watts, and it's using 100% of the shader memory and all that kind of stuff. I think there'll be a lot of issues trying to run both job types on the same card. But
Yeah.
I
think so as well.
I guess until we test it,
Yeah, you're also optimizing for different things, right? For like, for AI stuff, you're optimizing for like CUDA cores and stuff like that. And for transcoding, you're looking for encoding, decoding chips. And so I think it's really like for the orchestrator, essentially they have to ask themselves, well, do I scale for transcoding, or do I go for like the two encoding decoding chips cards, or do I go for like the 4090 that's really good at AI but average at transcoding? So
I think it would be a disservice to the network to try to balance both of the jobs in one set of hardware. I think to me, I can't imagine having the support for both on one box. Like, to your point, it just doesn't make sense. So like the part that I think is a limiting factor, though, would be the service URI. There's got to be some way to be able to ping multiple nodes in a given region to say, like, again, if I spin up AI node and I spin up transcoding node, I should be able to put them in the same region, but handle different capabilities. And the public network should be able to query those two nodes in the same region, even if you use the orchestrator's ETH address as the accounting mechanism. It's fine for both, but you have to have a way to say capabilities X are for the AI jobs, capabilities Y are for the transcoding jobs, and spin up as many nodes as you need, but run the node for the job you plan to work.
I think that's just transcoder routing. Like your orchestrator is gonna direct the request to where they need to go. So on your transcoding, on the transcoder that you're gonna that process that you're gonna use for transcoding video, you would not link that up to like the AI worker, you know?
Right. Yeah. Two separate node workers.
So the broadcasters would still hit the same service URI. It's just your orchestrator will know how to send those to the right place.
Right, how to route those jobs.
You're saying is the orchestrator will send it to a transcoding node service or a AI worker service.
Yes.
I see. Okay. No, yeah, that makes sense. Now that's in the weeds there.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, I gotta jump, but glad I could plant that little idea about the future of keeping AI models loaded hot and in dedicated cards with everyone. Yeah, good chatting today. I'll talk to y'all soon.
Cool. Thanks, Doug.
Bye, Doug. Thanks for coming. Yeah, no, it'll definitely be interesting to see how the AI stuff, progresses and what turns out to be the best cards, and seeing that some of the stuff that varies, and I think Karolak posted about those RTX 4000 ADAs. I mean, just to see
Or the
like that.
6000s with 48 gigs of memory.
Yeah, no one's no one's posted any benchmarks on those. So, I'm gonna guess that they're gonna do very well. I'm going from what's been posted, and I mean, to see like these cards using 70 and 130 watts, and I'm sitting here running at 425, and just just this heat just coming out of this machine, and yeah, exactly. So that's obviously gonna that's gonna play a big role in just determining what cards are efficient to run, and if you're going to put that stuff in a data center, I can't imagine what they're going to charge you to run a couple of 4090s too, using.
And I don't think you need to put the 4090s in a data center. I'm not sure on that.
Depends where you're located. I mean, if their job isn't going to, like, if the jobs are regionally located or distributed, then it may.
Yeah.
If you're not in the right.
I don't think we're hitting a 2-second target though.
And that's also a good point too, is that I don't know. I mean if you're sending back like at least right now a 2-second video, it's a pretty short upload versus if you're continually sending chunk after chunk after chunk, and most of the time is spent on processing, so you can make up that time by being able to process it fast. But yeah, for me on the West Coast, we just don't get the work out here that the East Coast and in the EU get. So where I'm sitting here and I've got all this bandwidth, and and I'd love to be able to host more stuff here, just for streaming stuff. I've just got so much capacity that I can't use, just because I just don't have the it's just doesn't come to the West Coast. But maybe that'll be different.
I think that's something we're going to learn about AI as well, is that location is not going to matter as much, or it shouldn't matter as much, as long as you're within some threshold for latency. If you can win back the time to download or the time to serve that client by speeding up the AI job, like you're saying, if you had a 4090 and other people are all running 3090s, you're twice as fast. You can be twice as far away too, right? So you could be a lot further away from where the source of the videos or the source of the request is coming in, knowing that you catch up that speed on the compute side versus the network latency. So I think the trade-offs are going to look a little differently for the AI work than a transcoding job.
That sounds good to me. So, yeah, that's a good point, though, that we'll have to come up with different ways to measure the full time
Round trip.
a job takes.
That's
yeah,
right,
exactly.
round trip time.
But yeah, and I also just think about how long it takes even for these jobs that if you've got a consumer there waiting for a thing to have to wait, I mean, a couple of minutes to get back 2 seconds. I wonder about the user experience for a lot of that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. I mean, I'm impatient.
I think patient
yeah.
crypto AI nut jobs will wait for the first for a little while, but that number's got to come down for the masses.
Yeah, no, I think so. It's I've seen even using just other free services where people host stable diffusion stuff, and they have to wait a lot of times for it to get an open GPU, but they tend to get the job back fairly quickly, and it'll just be interesting to see how it all how it works out and under what loads and all that kind of stuff. But
this is like Internet Explorer 1.0 right here, man.
Right.
You're starting out just at the very, very, very beginning. It's going to be horrible and slow.
Yeah, no, we're back to Netscape days, I think.
Navigator. Now we're telling how old we are.
Just reading.
What else you guys got?
Reading through the comments here, and
I have an application idea. I'm very only tangentially familiar with Livepeer, and I wanted to describe an application I'm trying to develop and see whether or not it's feasible using your all system.
Go for it.
Okay, so the concept is, so you might have heard of pair programming, where you have one person who is describing how to do the coding, and then another person is operating the keyboard and whatever and actually typing the stuff in. There's a variation of that called mob programming, where you have maybe 3 or 4 people, and every 20 minutes or so, they switch up who is doing the typing and who is doing the navigating. I want to run a serial mob programming where you have people swapping in and out of the group, and development continues 24 hours a day. The basic idea being that, like, I could be working on something and I hit a bug or something, and I just commit my code, and then when I come back 12 hours later, someone will have already fixed it for me. I want, though, to use recordings of the videos to do evaluations and build reputations and stuff like that. This idea of having a video that's going 24 hours a day, but without the same person doing the streaming at all times. And also, you need to be, the person who's doing the typing is whose screen needs to be focused, who needs to be sharing. That needs to be the source of the stream. Am I gonna need to distribute stream keys to all these people and have like some sort of complex system for controlling who's active? Does the concept make sense?
The concept makes sense, but it seems more like application level concerns than it is the Livepeer network. Like, yeah, what you're asking is, how do all of these people connect and share their streams, and then how do you dynamically like swap which streams the active stream? And I think that's going to be more application development than it is whether a Livepeer can help you. I think
so. I guess my question is, could I have like an AI or just a bot that is running a stream, and different people are connecting in and out from that stream and sharing their screen to that stream without having to give stream keys to all of the participants? Could I have one single like source of streaming?
Yes, there are ways to do that. When you're talking about mobs, though, where you have multiple people, that sounds like a WebRTC type interaction where everyone's using WebRTC, everyone's kind of sharing their streams amongst each other, and then there's some sort of, like you said, a bot or some participant in the WebRTC conversation that's taking the stream and then sending it out so that can be displayed for live stream viewing, like Twitch type playback, right? Where other people can kind of like watch it then, if you will. But I think the conversation, like it's a multi-user conference is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, so the
having
way
a
I've seen it,
playback would be the component where Livepeer could help you.
the way I've seen it handled by other people is they have a Zoom call and they have a bot that automatically records every Zoom call, and that's how they handle this sort of problem.
Yeah, because Zoom takes care of all the complexities of the multi-participant conversation. And then the
Okay.
bot is there as like a way to replay it, save it out for recording, or do a live stream from that bot's view of everything.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I think I know what to research now. Appreciate it.
Cool. Glad we can help. Marco in the audience is like the media ninja in this group, so he can give you all the tips and tricks you need to work on your media platform. He works for the Mist team, and they do that kind of stuff as well. So, you know, if you're looking for more info, he might be able to help. Strong. Cool. All right, Papa, what else you got, man? What's cooking?
I do not have anything myself. Just want to make sure everyone that's here that has questions is able to get them out, and yeah. So I guess with that said, does anyone else have anything that they want to talk about? Well then. Oh wait, did someone just jump on?
Oh, hey.
Hey, John.
Hey, everyone. John here. Hey. I just wanted to give another update on the Swarm development since
Cool.
the past couple orchestrator chats. Yeah, I've got it to where it's updating manifest so we can push to Swarm, the segments and the playlists, and it gives you the same ID back for the playlist. So right now I'm working on some issues with the playlists, the way they're being built, but it looks like it's going to work. I mean, performance tests have not been ran fully yet, and it's a little slow compared to most systems, but definitely be nice to have that integrated and available. So I think it would be pretty easy to put into Go Livepeer. It's actually how I'm building and testing it right now, but the long-term goal is to add support to Mist server to write to Swarm.
Ooh. You know, I'm always a fan. You keep publishing that stuff, I'm watching, dude.
One of the interesting things, I don't know if anyone's noticed this, but Go Tools was really far out of date in Go Livepeer. I think it was like maybe from 2022. And then Go Tools have been getting updated more recently. I don't know where else it's being used, but yeah, so I pulled that up to the latest version in Go Livepeer and just started working on it from there. Because the latest version of Go Tools has an IPFS implementation to it, which is kind of cool because that way you have like a common interface to either IPFS or Swarm or S3. That's kind of what Go Tools is in that way.
Yeah, I think that's a ongoing problem with Go Livepeer is that, it was built however many years ago. The libraries and dependencies that were built on it were still the same, right? And, no one's actively moving that stuff forward. So I think any opportunity to get in there and upgrade some of those packages that are being used is definitely worthwhile.
Segue. So I do have a app idea that I submitted to the Innovators DAO. That is a library solution and a algorithm solution and a security solution. And it's called the Greater Mobile App. And right now we are building out our MVP. And if there's any tips that you guys could give me now that I could use to get ready to integrate it onto the Livepeer network so that you can play with it and test it, I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for building on Livepeer. That's great. What approach are you taking? Are you working with the Livepeer Studio API? Are you looking to deploy like a Catalyst Docker node or?
That's a great question. So this is where I said earlier I was interested in the orchestrator aspect of it because I've only seen the studio side and like so my knowledge is limited because I'm new. But my app is definitely integrating all aspects of Livepeer. So it's definitely something that I'm gonna need, counsel and tutelage on to figure out how to best integrate it with what you guys do on a day-to-day basis as orchestrators. But first, I want to get the framework up so that you know exactly what you're looking at and how it can help.
Yeah, I'd like to learn more about that and see if there's anything I can help with.
Yeah, I have a white paper that I published via
That would be great.
via the Livepeer. I made a video white paper and I published it on the Livepeer Studio. So you can like pause it and read it. And right now I have a newsletter that I published. Well, this is in a draft right now. I want to run it past, the contact that I have with Livepeer first before I publish it. But it'll give like a more general synopsis of what the app does and what the benefits are. And definitely anybody who's interested, it's all hands on deck approach right now because my team is very small but we're powerful. All of my colleagues are in the cryptographic network engineering side and have tenure on that side. And then I have another colleague who is like myself who has both the technical and artistic side. So the only thing really that we're missing is how really your day-to-day interactions go. That's why I'm like in here listening and really honestly seeing what your pain points are and just figuring out a way to be a solutionist and make everything safe and advantageous and
Do you have a,
incentivized for everyone involved.
you said you submitted this to the Innovators DAO, your project?
Yes.
Do you have a link to that you
Yes.
could post and so we could go check that out?
Great question. Let me find that. Hold on. The Discord still isn't my speed.
Yeah, if you can find that, and I mean, if you can, and you just want to post that into the water cooler chat on the side,
All right,
help us find it to take a look, and we can offer you some feedback after taking a look at it. And I'm going to move on from that right now. Let's see. I think, or actually, does anyone else have anything else that is of interesting in Livepeer stuff, or questions, concerns, problems you're having? If not, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. And as always, oh wait, I see Mike is typing in the chat. We'll give him a second here. Oh, he's just thanking me for hosting. All right, well then, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. And thank you guys all for coming. Titan will be back next week, or at least he should be, as far as I know. And I'll see you guys all then. Thanks for coming.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Appreciate it. Sayonara.
Bye, everyone.